Hey everybody, this is Pensy Joe, and today we're going to do something completely different today. I'm starting a new series called Model Car Review Series. We're not going to tear open the cars like we do with the model trains, and I wanted to do this series because I did one review like a while back, probably around a year ago at least, where I did a CMR Mazda 787B, and I was gonna do a little bit more, but I was like, you know what? Let me do my model trains first and see what happens. And I want to go back to doing a little bit of model cars again because I'm starting to get back into model cars. And lo and behold, my secondary hobby for a while, which used to be my primary hobby, was collecting some model cars that are 1/18 scale. So without further ado, let's get into this review with the Auto Art Mclaren 570s. The car is white and black, or carbon. Black and carbon are not really hand in hand, but you know they're close. It's a Mclaren 570s. It was one of the first cars I just got recently. I got other projects in the works, so if anybody, I know my main audience is model trains, but some people I know in my audience probably like model cars as well, so it's something I want to do. You don't have to like it. You don't worry, there'll be more model train stuff coming in the future. This doesn't mean that model train content will be slowing down. It just means I want to try something new and share something that I also like to enjoy as well as model cars. So without further ado, I'm going to open the box. I already took the car out, but I will show you how it's all stored together inside the box. All right, so the foam cradle that's going to hold the car in is going to look like this. Obviously, some of the plastic bolt anchors have fallen out from below, but that's okay. I'm going to put that away anyways. There's a car over there. We'll get that into a bit. Here's the inside of the shell, and this is the bottom of the shell for the foam cradle. Now, to be honest, the foam is actually pretty sturdy. This is regular white styrofoam. It's pretty decent. It keeps the car fairly safe in here. Normally, you have to, use some tape to open the shell. But here's the thing, right? Auto Art's cars have like small magnets that keep the doors closed, so you don't really have to worry too much about the doors flying open. But if anything happens, this foam cradle is going to keep it together. And this is the bottom side where usually they're going to have the screws in place to keep the car from, obviously falling out. And it's usually 4 screws and 4 of these. So I'm going to put these back in. And yeah, it's not too complicated compared to model trains where they're in an ice cube and stuff like this. For model cars, are still pretty much put inside of a foam case, usually Auto Art. Other brands, I'm not 100% sure. Most of the cars I collect are either Maisto or Auto Art. So my experience with how they're kept together are very limited. With Maisto, they just have a plastic base that's slightly tilted sometimes, and they just hold by two or three screws, sometimes 4 as well. It varies depending on the model, and it just has like a regular box like this around it with a clear fascia, and that's it. There's nothing really protecting it from flopping around with the doors and whatnot once you take off the things that hold the doors in place. So yeah, now that we got this done, we're going to put the box aside and we're going to look at the model car itself. Okay, so here's the car right here, and it's in a beautiful white color. It's just a regular gloss white, which I do like. Obviously, the fuel cap is just molded in to the composite body. Obviously, it's like a plastic composite, which is fine. I don't mind if it's, I don't really care if it's die cast. I guess it saves money and cost with it, and it also makes the thickness of the pieces more realistic to the 1/18 scale without being bulky. So there comes an engine cover. You can take off the engine cover off of this, and it comes with a tool, and it shows you how to open the doors. So the doors open up like this. Really, really nice. The interior is pretty cool. I like the orange on the inside. I like as a tertiary color. I mean, main color is like white and black or white and carbon, but it's mainly white and black on this car, which I like. It's really, really neat. And the doors have a magnet, as you can see right there, both two magnets, so that when the door closes, it just stays in place. You don't have to worry about it shaking around. We also got this pick piece as well that comes with usually every model car. Not all of them, but it helps, open the trunks and the hoods and all that stuff. And as you can see, like this looks great. It's all felt in here. This is all like carpeted. Obviously, it's some sort of like fabric, maybe Alcantara or something like that. And it's got like this miniature like red fire extinguisher. McLarens are. I like McLaren, and I like the newer McLarens. I like how they look, and I like the McLaren F1, one of my favorite cars. But McLarens, modern McLarens tend to, I guess, catch on fire. If you've seen videos of McLarens catching on fire, they spontaneously combust. I don't know if I want to detail with the white and paint the handle white, but that's I have to be careful not to touch anything else in here. I don't think it comes out, which is fine, so I might just leave it be. But yeah, it is really nice that it's all felt in there. You can't really see well. Let me see if I can try and get some light in there. Try and pick it up gingerly. Yeah, it's not really shining in there that well. But when you get the car, if you do decide to buy one of these, which by the way I got for around $140, and to be honest, that's a good value for this. Now, some of you might like, well, why would I get this when I can get Solito for like $60 for the I think it's 600 LT. You can get the 600 LT for like $60 and you can do that. It's not going to be as detailed as an auto art, and for $140, which for a model car, it's actually in the lower end of the spectrum. Some model cars can go up to at least $1,000, and that's for like stuff that's really rare and you can't open any of the doors. And for me, if you're gonna for $1,000, right? I mean, let alone model trains, right? $1,000 for a model you can't open the doors for. To be honest, it's not worth it. You could say, well, I want a like Liberty Walk special car or something that's limited production. To me, it doesn't really matter because I like stuff that's more practical where you can open stuff up and display the car and show like, everything about it. But yeah, for $140, you can find these on eBay. I recommend never to buy from Auto Art directly. You can check their website to see what's possibly coming soon. There are cars coming soon that I would like to get, like a 720S, and there's like the Senna GTR I'd like to get as well. Those are going to be really interesting cars once they come out. I'd like to get them. I'm going for an all-white McLaren theme. It's just something I want to do. I like the color white, and I like the consistency. I won't be getting a Speedtail. I know some people who are probably watching now are into cars. I won't be getting the Speedtail because they don't have that in white yet. Hopefully they do one in the color white at some point. I'd like for Auto Art to do more like secondary, like tertiary colors where they're like green for the brake pads and the interior's got some green accents as well. And just the white and black. I really like that. And the hood, the way how the hood opens is rather realistic. It's not like bulky like Maisto or something like that. I mean, yes, you can get Maisto cars for around $12 to like $50, $60 sometimes. And, they're nice cars. Don't get me wrong. I'll do a review on some Maistos that I think are really, really good for the value. Compared to like just spending money on another car. I'd like to get a 600 LT. I know Auto Art has 600 LTs. I would like to get a white and black one. Um, as I would like to get a white one. Some people are like, why don't you get different colors? Uh, it depends. I just want to stick with McLaren right now because I like McLarens, and there's a game I play that has a good amount of McLaren types. It's not Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo does not have as much McLarens as the game I'm playing right now, and it's not Forza, so that might narrow it down a bit of what it might be. But yeah, this the headlights on this car are really nice. They don't light up, which you can always add, but you gotta like really want to take apart the car to add lights and stuff like that, like LEDs and stuff. And that's okay. I don't mind that there's no lights at all, especially for this value. If I want to at some point, I could, do my own lighting for my cars and whatnot, and maybe add like kind of like an HO trains. You can add a speaker. I could probably add like fit a small speaker somewhere so I can have like you can probably use ESU for example. I mean, a perfect decoder to do. But here's the thing: how you're going to do power and how you're going to add power to it. So that's only the downside. Otherwise, I can't move them around if I put some hidden wires under the car, and it would just be like a regular HO car that just has lights and whatnot. But if you wanted to get into like model cars and like figure out ways to add like lighting functions and maybe sound functions if you want to. I mean, it's possible to add a sound function. Personally, I would suggest ESU because you can put custom sound files and you can get custom sound files of the car starting up and turning off. And you can also have sounds of like the door open or you don't have your seatbelt on. Some McLarens have unique sounds and whatnot for that. So it would be cool. Again, the model is at the way it is so far. It's in my opinion for $140, $130. I would suggest getting that. There we go. Door is open. What's really cool is look how that's put together. That is really cool. And if we look on this side, you can see through that. I really like that. It's really cool how they did that. So I also like McLarens is that they generally look really nice. And in real life, it's the 570s. It's right around $100,000 now. I think at first they were close to $200,000 when they first came out, but now they're getting, as they get older, and this is a model they probably do not make anymore, most likely. It's a decent car. It's an attainable car. If you don't want a Corvette, but you want someone that's unique or British, the McLaren 570s would be a nice car. And there's some more of the orange interior detail. Again, that looks cool. I like that there's some color as the accent, or it's not a primary or a secondary. It's the tertiary color. I'm not sorry if I'm butchering that term, but it's the third color, and I like that there's two shades, like a black and the white, and then there's some color in there. I really like that, and that's why I like the McLarens, especially in the white color, because you get to have like these really nice interior colors. There's some orange in the other door card as well. There's a door card right there. Really, really nice. And again, it has that flying buttress on the door too with the plastic. It goes all the way through. It's really, really cool. And then we're going to close the door, which just goes like that. And obviously the car's not sprung. There is no sprung. So that I'll take away from that. Now you don't. Now a lot of Maestos tend to have sprung suspension. Auto Art usually doesn't. I don't know if there's. I can't recall if I have any Auto Art cars that have sprung suspension, but this one doesn't. The paint detail on here is a little bit wavy. It's not 100% perfect, but it's not too bad. I mean, I have the predecessor. It's not owned by Auto Art, but there is a company called UT Models. I have one car from UT Models. It's a McLaren F1 GT-R, the long tail car, and that for its time, it was good. And this is not too bad either, but you can definitely see that the quality control on this painted trim right here is not completely like a complete line. And again, these are made in China, so It is what it is. I do like these the silver, exhaust pipes. It and I can't. I think they're just plastic. I don't think they're the metal cold touch ones. The rear lights are obviously clear, like in the real McLaren. They're like an LED like tube, so they would bright up red. And there's a McLaren logo right there. Let's see if it tries to focus. There's a McLaren logo. It's nice and reflective. It's not a sticker, I think. No, I don't. No, it's not a sticker. It's actually it's kind of crooked though. Maybe it is like a yeah. It's definitely some sort of like 3D decal. I guess the placement of it is not entirely like flat because it's slightly angled, but it's a model car. It's made in China. You know, I know there shouldn't be a lot of excuses, but you get what you pay for. But here's the thing: like this is one of those bottles where like four things open up, which is usually obviously the trunk is in the front. The trunk, you got your doors, and you got your engine bay. And there's your 570S right there. And then we'll use this pick tool to take off the engine cover. There's the engine cover, and there's the engine. It says McLaren on there. It's got some plastic, tubes going over there for the hoses and whatnot. You can't see too much, but it's pretty cool. And there's the exhaust, heat exhaust thing. It's all plastic, but it looks good. I think this is really nice engine detail, and I love that screen that they have for this. Obviously, in the real car, I think has like a window as well, so that water doesn't get in there. And what's cool about the rear window is that it has the heat element for heating the window back in there. I don't know if you can see it. I guess not, because it's also reflective, that window. But you can barely make it out. As I turn the car, you can see those lines. That's what they use for heating elements, so that it's a defroster. And look at that. You can actually see behind there and get some light on that. You can see some of the engine detail and the transmission detail behind the car. There's some more screen detail. We can look under the car. I'm going to see if I can do that. There's not too much under here. It's just a flat bottom. There's some more of that diffuser. That is a nice diffuser, actually. And there's some underbody diffuser, and there's screw holes to mount it down. So overall, I rate this a pretty good car. And there's some mirrors, actual reflective mirrors, pretty nice. And they got some black accent details on them. And now let's see if the wheels yep. So the wheels and the rotors for the brake discs move at the same time, separate from the brake calipers. That's really nice. AutoArt tends to do this a lot. I think sometimes Maisto does it, not always. It just depends. But AutoArt usually does it, from my experience owning AutoArt. So, yeah, I mean, there's also, we didn't get to really see it, but there's the rear view mirror inside there. And what's nice is that there's, if you noticed earlier, when I was showing a bit of the interior detail, there is straps for the seat belt as well inside the car. So overall, this is a really nice model. If you want to get, if you want those entry-level cars, usually a company gives you an entry-level car into their brand. And let's be honest, the 570S is an entry-level car from McLaren. It was the first entry-level. Well, some people say the MP412C, but the MP412C is pretty much like, later on, when it got a facelift, it became the 650S. And that's what that car became. The 650S was originally the MP412C, and you could say it was around $200-something thousand, I believe. $200,000, between $200,000 and $300,000, that car in real life. And I guess it was an entry-level McLaren. It was definitely a McLaren to get the brand booted up again. I guess, and then came along the P1 project, and the 570s project and the 650. Also, yeah, really the 650, and then I think the 570 came in last. And this was pretty much the de facto entry level McLaren for a bit. I mean, this car, the P1 and the 650 S were the de facto cars. So if you want to get into model cars, but you want something that has details, it looks nice, it's displayable, and of course it rolls. I like cars that roll. I don't like cars that can't roll. Now some people don't like it to roll so they don't roll off anywhere. If you're worried, you can always use those mounting things or screw the car down. You can do that, and then you can always unscrew and have the car be able to roll around. But and obviously the steering wheel turns as well. Most model car manufacturers have the steering wheel turn. There's a little bit of foam still stuck in there, but overall, this is a really really nice car. Can you get this car by anywhere else? I don't think so. I think Auto Art's the only one that makes a stock, entry level 570s for McLaren. I know Solito makes the 600 LT, which is basically like the GT version with the exhaust pipes that come up through the top with the rear wing over here, and it's a little bit more aggressive track, kind of like a track car. So if you have one of these just for comfort driving, and then you can have like the 600 LT, and you don't want to spend too much money, you buy the 600 LT, which is basically a 570s upgraded. And yeah, there's two other companies I know. LCD does the 600 LT, and Solito does the 600 LT as well, but nobody else does the 570s. Not even Maisto, and Maisto only has, I think, done only one McLaren, and that is still the F1. They have not done any McLarens, and which is strange because Solito is basically the French version of Maisto. So I don't know. If you want to get a 570s, it's going to have to be Auto Art. And it's worth it. On eBay, they're around between 130 to, I mean, realistic $140 to $250. Don't pay that much. Get as cheap as you possibly can find. And personally, I would find somebody who is within the United States to get this car. And there's a reason why I like Auto Art. Auto Art makes really nice cars. Are they the most detailed of the detailed? No. There are companies out there like BBR and other brands that I cannot think off the top of my head that are really well detailed. However, Auto Art tends to add opening doors so you can actually look inside and not just through glass, plastic glass. It's not just like a composite, solid mold or something. I really like cars that you can actually look inside and open the doors. It's part of the enjoyment, It's like for model trains, for example, if you only just had the headlight and rear light of a model locomotive, and it just takes away a little bit of the functionality and the fun that you can play with it and whatnot. Same thing with ground lights for like a diesel locomotive, for example. It's always good to have those. I know some people, it's also about based off of price. Here's the thing: Auto Art gives you like the best cars for the price to open up doors and stuff. There's a lot of model cars, different than model trains, that are like higher end, like really, really expensive model cars. And usually, Auto Art stays around to $300, around $300. Obviously, if they're discontinued, like the McLaren F1, and they're like haven't made those ever since, they're like around $1,000 up to, I've seen, for McLaren F1s, and those are really expensive if you want a McLaren F1 and a McLaren F1 GTR, or the LM. Basically, it's called the LM, but it's basically a GTR. Those cars are obviously higher up in price, and certain other cars as well. However, if it depends on what you get and what you're looking for, obviously. So yeah, for what you pay for, yes, model cars you can get for like $12 a piece at Sam's Club, Costco's, BJ's. You can stick with Maisto if you want to, if you just want to collect a lot of cars really quickly for cheap, and there you go. That's fine. If you want to get some more specific cars and you want better details, you're obviously going to want to go to companies like Auto Art, for example, because they make some really nice cars. And I guess it's taken a bit now, so I might as well just wrap things up right now. What would I rate this model car? To me personally, it's a 9 out of 10. Obviously, there are some model car companies. I know there's some Chinese model car companies that have some pretty good, decent detail. Maybe not as the same level as Auto Art, but they're like maybe a step or two behind. But they have like lighted details, like headlights, rear lights, reverse lights, and all that stuff. And I guess if I were to say like realistically, I would give this, and for the price too. The price is pretty good, but is it like you know you got to balance a lot of things. To be fair for the model, you know, if I was going to be critical of it, I would give it like around I would 7 or 8, closer to an 8. I would say, what? Actually, 8 out of 10. And the reason why I gave it an 8 out of 10, to really solidify it, is I'm going to take a point away that there's no active like small, some suspension work, and obviously, you can't turn the wheels too much, which is fine. It's not really huge great. At least they turn right. And I guess another point away from no lighting, no like small battery lighting functions for like LED, headlights and like, obviously the lighting tube for this will be complicated for the 570s. And there's like another rear light, I think higher up. It would be right there where my nail is. Right there, that's where the third brake light would be. So to do all of that would be complicated and definitely make this car like I don't know, $50 to $100 more. You probably only need one AAA battery just to like these things. Some people might say you need more, but it's fine the way it is. Uh, do I care about sounds? No. I can always like add an extra sound system or something, under the display, hidden away or behind something that can like make it sound like this car, like a specific car is starting up. Again, you can get an ESU decoder if for guys who are into model trains or for somebody who wants to figure out how to do things, or you can get an Arduino and have it programmed with all the sound files that you can activate with a push of a button that you make on on a face or whatever, so you can have individual sounds for cars and whatnot. It kind of feels like Need for Speed in the old days, where Need for Speed, where you can hear the car revving and the guy talks about it, and you can have somebody have like a recording of somebody talking about the car and its performances and the history and whatnot, which would be cool and overkill. But I'm not going to take that away from this. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is a solid 8 out of 10 for me personally. It's a 9 out of 10. I don't really mind if it doesn't have suspension. Obviously, I'm not playing with this as a toy, even though it's kind of fun to move around and whatnot and open the doors and whatnot. It isn't really. It's not really a kid's toy. Auto art is more so for collectors and whatnot, and for people who like more premium products. Yeah, toy cars you could probably say is more like Maisto, but even then, some of the more Maisto cars nowadays, are a bit more detailed and a little bit higher quality than they used to be. I'm not going to say all of them are, and I'm only saying a little bit because they're still not close to the level of Auto Art. Anywho, guys, this is Pensy Joe trying something new and, branching out my content just a little bit. Again, I like cars. It's something that I personally like. I still am going to do model trains. This is just something that I wanted to do personally and share with the world of what I think about model cars and about cars, what I know about cars, and just for fun, pretty much. But yeah, I'm signing out again, and I hope to see you all in the next video. And if any of you model train guys liked for this video and want to see more model cars, let me know. So another side hobby for me. I'm not going to have too many side hobbies, I promise. I'm not going to branch out into like multiple thousands of hobbies. But yeah, that's it for now. Bye now.